Hello, I'm Dr. Jonathan Oates, Archivist for London Borough of Ealing. I'm going to say a few words about a new book about Ealing history which came out last year. A book company a few years ago decided to embark on commissioning a whole range of books about buildings in different parts of the country. So for example, there's a book about 50 buildings in Kingston upon Thames, there's one about buildings in York, there's one about buildings in Whitechapel, and this book is about 50 buildings in Ealing. Now, of course, there's far more than 50 buildings existing in Ealing. So the question is, how did the authors decide which buildings to use, and have they made the right decisions even? Well, I think some of the buildings in this book are so important in Ealing that they could hardly be ignored, such as Pitsanger Manor, Ealing Town Hall, Southall Town Hall, Southall Manor House, the three medieval churches in Greenford, Perivale and Northolt. But after that, it becomes more difficult and perhaps a more of a personal choice. There will doubtless be readers who read this book and think, why isn't, for example, St Peter's Church in North Ealing included, or the Polish Catholic Church, or lots of other buildings in Ealing could well have been included. Acton Town Hall, for example, is excluded. Yet, with 50 buildings, this means that there is a limit to 50, of course. Some buildings are not included, which perhaps could have been included, but I and the other author of this book, Paul Lang, who was mainly responsible for taking the photographs, decided that we hope to cover the borough reasonably well, although having said that, the coverage of Ealing, Acton and Southall is certainly greater than that of Greenford, Perivale and Northolt. I think that's primarily because these three latter districts only really developed in the early to mid 20th century, and so there's a scarcity of perhaps of interesting buildings in those parts of the borough. That's not to say that there aren't any, but it's just that there are rather few. We have not generally included domestic buildings, except in one or two instances when they are of such architectural or historic merit. For example, the house in Bedford Park, where the great Irish poet W.B. Yeats lived, or the borough's only thatched cottage, which is on Church Road in Hanwell. We thought these were of such interest that they should be included. Buildings which have associations with famous people have sometimes been included. For example, the Hanwell Community Centre, which used to be the huge Cuckoo School, only part of which still remains, but of course was the school for Charlie Chaplin between 1896 and 1898. We have not included any buildings which have ceased to exist. Again, the old Perivale Rectory, or the Lawns, home to Dr. John Connolly in Hanwell, or even Berrymead Priory in Acton, could all be included if we were including buildings which no longer exist. So this book is of interest if you are a resident of the London Borough of Ealing, or if you work or have any other connection with the place. Perhaps your ancestors lived here, perhaps you have visited friends in the area. If you're interested in the buildings in the borough and perhaps want to explore the exteriors of some more of these buildings which perhaps you were not aware of, then this book is for you. You should be able to buy it at bookshops, on Amazon of course, and you should be able to borrow a copy from Ealing Public Libraries. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the space provided below. I'll be more than happy to reply to them. Thank you.